Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to Straight Talk on Social Media. This is Ian Desher, Director of Nonprofit Marketing, talking to you on what is going to be a lovely day here in Friday, and I hope it is here in Portland, and I hope it is wherever you are as well. We're going to be talking today about some lessons from Airbnb and Uber. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about the latest news in social media since last month. And as a reminder, of course, on these webinars, as always, if you have any questions as we go along, you are welcome to put those into the side panel in your GoToWebinar control panel. So first bit of news here is that Facebook video is really becoming a dominant force in social media and in online video in general. Facebook now has more than 1 billion video views per day. This was a study that just came out in the last couple weeks here. And one of the things that is sort of helping them is on their mobile phones now, mobile app that they have autoplay videos. You all have probably heard about the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Probably some of you have been challenged and have done it yourself. I have, in fact, done it, as we all at Pivot were challenged by our friends at Valley Telecom. So that has become a huge phenomenon, and social media, of course, played a gigantic part in that. And one of the things that an article I read recently said that Facebook's autoplay videos were also one of the things to really help get that campaign underway and have it be so successful as it has been. It's now raised more than $100 million for the ALS Foundation. And part of that is because you would be on your mobile phone and you would see these videos start to play, and they would start sort of automatically going, and you'd see then people covering themselves with buckets of ice, and you'd wonder what that's about. So Facebook is kind of onto something here with their autoplay videos and just their video presence overall. It's interesting to see more and more articles talking about how Facebook could be a real contender with YouTube in terms of how much video is watched and that sort of thing. Anyway, that's the news there. A new sort of a Facebookification of Twitter going on here. I like to use that word if you've seen these webinars before. Twitter has just introduced new ads that are objective based. So instead of just being ads that you can place, they've moved into this these campaigns that are based on what you want to get out of them, right? So what your goals are. Those are going to be the things that are important to your, those are things that are going to be sort of the goal of your advertising. And so like Facebook, they've said, okay, what's the goal of your advertising? Now you can base your ads around what that's going to be and what those goals are. So look for that now. If you start doing some Twitter advertising, you will see that you're starting to see them ask, okay, what is it you actually want to accomplish? So interesting there that Twitter's moving in Facebook's direction yet again, and realizing that Facebook was onto something with those objective-based campaigns. And a final bit of news here. Facebook has started trying out and now has introduced, this is not my news feed, but I have seen it in my news feed. Facebook has introduced a satire label. So if you see articles floating around Facebook, most of us know that the news source, The Onion, is actually a fake news source that writes satire articles. However, there are other sites out there that are satire sites that you may be less familiar with. And so, sure enough, people are sort of getting tricked into believing that things are real, and so Facebook has introduced this satire label. It's hard to see on the screen here, but you can see maybe before the title, the headline here, it says satire. So it's trying to make it clear that, hey, these articles that we're linking to are satire articles, so don't be fooled by them. So interesting to see Facebook sort of give a nod toward the fact that that some of their users are being confused by the content that's being shared around social media. So that's the news, and now I want to talk about the focus topic, which is straight talk on lessons from Airbnb and Uber. Maybe you've heard of Airbnb and Uber, maybe you have used either one of them, and so I just wanted to sort of talk quickly with you. I'll tell you what they are in case you're unfamiliar with these services, and then talk about what I think most companies can learn from them. Some of the lessons from Airbnb and Uber may not be directly applicable to your company, but others definitely will be. So let me sort of dive into that. So first of all, what they are and what they do. Let's start with Airbnb. Airbnb is basically a service that lets you, it would let somebody who is a homeowner or who has an extra room in their home or something like that create a profile for themselves where they're saying, here are pictures of my house, here are, here's what amenities it has, things like that. And then it lets people, lets the users who then come look for rooms that they can rent basically anywhere in the world. So you can see that as a typical user here, when I first come to their homepage, down at the bottom I've got, okay, where do you want to go? When do you want to check in? When do you want to check out? How many people are going to be in your party? And then you search. Now you also have the link up in the top right to list your own space if you are somebody, like I said, who owns a house or an apartment. The idea behind Airbnb is really simple. It's that there are people who have extra room or own second properties or whatever, and there are people who need to stay places who maybe don't want to pay as much as you might pay in a hotel, or maybe want more of a personal individual experience where instead of sort of going to the more sort of corporate formal feel of a hotel, you want to stay in somebody's home, and you like the idea of doing that. So I will say also that Airbnb is something that I have used. I have not used Uber, and I'll talk about that later on. But I have used Airbnb, and the first experience I had with it was great. So let me actually show you. So this was we were going to Sisters, Oregon, which is in Central Oregon. My wife and I were going there in early August, and so I typed in Sisters, typed in the dates that we were going, and here was this place that we found, this straw bale house on a canyon rim. And sure enough, out the windows over here, you could see this big canyon. It was this beautiful and funky little place, and only about 15 minutes away from the town of Sisters, Oregon. So the price worked out for us and everything. So this is where we ended up staying. But you can see when you first go here, okay, what's it explaining? It's showing you, first of all, lots of attractive pictures of how the property looks, and you can go through those and see more of those. And then it gives you a full description of sort of what the property's like with more pictures. It gets in more detail in terms of the amenities, all of the details around it. Whether you're going to find a kitchen there, or a washer dryer, or any of those sorts of things, and any stipulations they have. Do they not accept children? Do they welcome children? Do they, do they have any special house rules or anything like that? Is this, you can filter your searches by, do you want to share somebody's house? Do you want just a room in somebody's house, or do you want your own place completely? So gives you all these options. And then once you've booked, they send you a message and say you've booked successfully, and they will send you reminders about when you're headed there and all of that sort of thing, and let you contact the owner. Normally the owners will reach out to you and and welcome you and take care of any questions you might have. And then one of the big pieces and sort of the way that the thing that helped us decide whether or not we could trust this property and other properties we've looked at on Airbnb are these reviews, right? Reviews become central to Airbnb because you want to know that this person that who I'm giving all this money to, whose house I'm planning to stay in, are they trustworthy? Are they reliable? Is this a real thing? Does their house look as good in person as it does in the pictures? And so you can see that this place that we stayed had just fantastic reviews, and sure enough, we enjoyed it very much. So reviews are a huge part of this of really making this whole idea work, right? The whole idea that you could stay in a perfect stranger's house. The only way that's going to work is by looking at the reviews and making sure you're in a place that's trustworthy. So that's Airbnb in a nutshell. Uber is a similar service in terms of a consumer, can ask somebody who is an ordinary average Joe who's basically just somebody who's decided they want to be part of it. But instead of a place to stay, it's for a ride, right? So you can see again as you go into Uber, there's the option if you want to become a driver. So that's similar to listing your home on Airbnb. You can become a driver for Uber, and then you can also sign up for Uber to become, so that you can start using their app. Now, what's interesting is I mentioned earlier that I had not used Uber yet, and that's because in Portland, Uber is actually illegal. There's actually a city law that I don't remember exactly what the law is, but it has to do with basically the laws around renting cars for hire, and you have to have certain licenses or approvals or whatever it is, and so you actually can't use Uber in Portland. Airbnb has become very controversial because, first of all, of course, the hotel industry is kind of scared by it, right? It's become very popular, and in just a very short amount of time, could really sort of be a wave of the future. Hotels are scared because it's eating out a chunk of what would normally be their business. So and there are regulations there around, well, should when you go stay at a hotel, there are all these taxes and fees that you have to pay that come out of the laws behind staying in hotels and things like that. With Airbnb, there are no taxes and fees added, and so a lot of towns and countries and states and things like that are saying, well, they really should be paying these taxes if you're going to be providing a place to stay. So there's some question there about Airbnb and how that will all shake out, and like I said, with Uber and some of the laws there. Anyway, so interesting to know those challenges as well as what these services do. As you look on the Uber site, you can look at sort of all their features. They usually are cheaper than taxis. That's one of the things that they sort of promote. Their drivers are reliable. You can split up your pricing. There's nothing with the tip that is weird. You also can you don't have to worry about paying your driver at all. This was a big thing. A friend of mine was telling me about an article they'd read about Airbnb and how that started, where in the beginning with Airbnb, they had it so that you would pay your host directly. And what they found was that that took some of the specialness out of the interaction with this other person whose house you were staying in, right? All of a sudden, it became not so much about a personal interaction and having a nice time with somebody. Instead, it became about, oh, here's now the business part of our transaction. It became formal and awkward, basically. And so both Airbnb and Uber then have chosen then to take the payment online, right? So that the person whose house you're staying in or who's giving you a ride gets paid by the service instead of by you directly. And so it sort of has taken that weirdness out of these interactions. So you can go and check out Uber and look at all those different kinds of features. It's fascinating, actually, I think, to see how closely related and how similar the Uber model is to Airbnb in many ways. And then you can see once you're signing up for Uber, there's just this really simple sign up form to get you started. And of course, Uber has an app for your mobile phone, no matter where it is. And I don't have, this is actually a screenshot of their website. I actually don't have a screenshot of their mobile app, but it's basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. You say, I need a ride to the Portland airport, and you can find all these drivers nearby. There are reviews, for them, that sort of thing. And then you can click and they will give you a ride. They'll show up in minutes. And it's really just people who are, the drivers are people who are either just sort of have some time on their hands so they can mark themselves as available to drive right now and mark where their location is, or they can, they could be somebody who doesn't have a job. Or I've actually heard of that there are professional car services now that are signing on as Uber drivers because they've realized that they can make more money doing that than they can with sort of their normal car service business. So that's fascinating as well. So what are some of the takeaways? Obviously, these are unique kinds of businesses, right? The sort of gist behind Airbnb and Uber, and of course the reason why I've lumped them together in this presentation, is that it's all about individuals providing a service that is normally provided by a larger business. Now, if you're a business, you may think, well, what can I learn from that? How can I take anything away from that? Because in fact, that I don't want that to happen. And if you think about things, I mean, many of our clients, of course, are from the telecommunications industry, and it's not like I could suddenly rent out my phone to use for somebody to make a phone call. That doesn't make any sense. And so it's not direct. I mean, the model itself, of course, is not directly applicable to every industry, but there are some takeaways that I think are really important, and so I'll share those. So first of all, just this idea that local is becoming bigger, and really there is this possibility of taking on really big national change. Like I said, the hotel industry is scared of Airbnb, and rightfully so. It's becoming more and more popular. We have booked a big vacation that I'm taking shortly, and we've used Airbnb almost exclusively along the way for the places that we're staying. And everyone I talk to about it, it talks about the experiences they're having. People in general are having pretty positive experiences, both on the the visitor side and the host side. And so it's interesting to see this movement where people who are offering things locally really are able to take on the big national players. So that's just something to think about. Now, of course, Airbnb is not a local company, but it has these more local, pockets. And why would that be better? Well, a person who works in a hotel may live in the area, and probably does live in the area, but still they're a paid hotel worker and maybe not as interested in helping you get to know a place as a person who's, if you're staying in somebody's house and you're getting to meet them and you're getting to hear sort of their love and passion for the area, and not sort of just the area in general like you might get with a hotel, but really, what's special about this specific neighborhood, what's nearby that I might like. So that I think is another advantage there, and something that a lot of our clients can learn from, because many of you are locally based companies that that have that edge over a national company, and that's something that I think you can really it can really be a strong point for you. And so the second thing is, people want to trust other people, I think, and I think people. Airbnb and Uber wouldn't work if everyone in the world was still just terrified to trust other individual strangers and only trusted corporations. That's not what we're seeing, right? What we're seeing here is people really wanting to trust other people and to have that personal experience of a one-to-one sort of thing, right? Where I will get to meet this person in Sisters, Oregon, who has this house. Excuse me. And so it's really, I think, this model of business as relationship. The more that you can really treat your customers as though you have a personal relationship with them and get to know them, get to know what their needs are, their concerns, and really work with them on that one-on-one level. And the more that you can sort of train your customer service people to do that, the more successful you're going to be, because we're humans and we long for connection. And that, I think, is a big part of Airbnb and Uber, is that they are drawing on that need that all of us have for connection. So the more you can tap into that and make your company really a company that does care about people, the more successful you're going to be. Taking the money out of the relationship. I think this was such a key move that Airbnb and Uber do, where they're not having in Airbnb's case, the guests directly pay the host, but instead they are having that all happen online. I think the takeaway here for some of us is just to encourage, whether it's online bill payment or any way you can have when the people who are interacting with your company, I'm sorry, when your customers are interacting with your customer service people, anytime that the sort of weirdness of money can be taken out of that, I think that it's a benefit for you. So encouraging more online payment, all of that sort of thing, I think will only help you because then people, like I said, can sort of get to that more important level of actually connecting with each other, and not sort of worrying about the thing of, okay, can you give me your credit card number now, or now I need a check from you, or whatever. So again, I think a fascinating and important thing that Airbnb and Uber have done. Number 4, reviews are key. Like I said, key to the success of Airbnb and Uber, key to this ability to trust other people. Reviews are key to that, and it really is okay to ask your customers for a review, and a good, even ask them for a good review. I mean, or whatever. So it's online reviews are becoming more and more of a thing that we all are looking for and trusting when we are engaging with a business or whatever. And so the more the more positive things that people are saying about your company, the more likely you are to have other customers deciding to go with you because they're checking out the reviews of you online first. And so it's okay to ask your champions, people who really love you, to write you a review. I always say I think you should periodically ask your Facebook likers to go onto Yelp, go onto your business page on Yelp, and write you a review. And maybe you give them a little benefit for doing so. Maybe it's $5 off your bill or something like that if you write us a review on Yelp. And in that case, you really can't ask for only good reviews. But in general, if they're already liking you on Facebook, odds are they're going to write you a good review. So just remember that. Remember that people really are going online and reading those reviews, checking out how many stars people have given you, that sort of thing. And it is okay to ask your customers to put those reviews out for you. Number 5, make the sign up as easy and clear as possible. This is one of the things that just really impresses me about Airbnb. It impresses me from what I can see of it on Uber. They have these really easy sign up forms. So it's very easy to get engaged with them. And even, it's even, I would say, less work to book a place through Airbnb than it is through Expedia. And Expedia is easy to use. So think about your online ordering process, or your in-person ordering process for that matter. Can it be simplified? Can it be made a lot more customer friendly because you've taken so much of the detail and complexity out of it? There are all kinds of things that Airbnb could be asking for that they don't need to ask for, and so they're not asking for it, right? So just think about that. Just think about the easiest way to make sure that you're making it as easy as possible for people to sign up with your service, so that you never want the sign up process itself to be a deterrent for somebody actually using your service. That would be sort of the most awful thing ever. Number 6, give people ownership or participation in what you're doing. I've got a question mark over that one because that is, I think, a harder one, right? But maybe you have the kind of business where this would work somehow, right? How can you give people ownership or participation in what you're doing? Well, like I said, if you're a telephone company, you're not going to suggest that people start renting their phones out to let other people make phone calls. That's just silly, right? But what can you do to help people feel like they are owners in what you're doing? Maybe it's having some sort of partner program where you're encouraging other people to talk about your services. Maybe it's some sort of MVP club for people who are particular brand advocates for you, where they are in some way feeling like they really have some sort of ownership in what you're doing. Again, it may not be directly applicable to your business, and that's why I've got that little question mark there. But do think about, are there ways to give people ownership in the service that you provide or the products that you provide? Give that some thought. And then number 7, recognize that this shift is happening in crowdsourcing services, and don't be left out. So if you do work for a company that has a some sort of service that really lots of people could provide if they if they wanted to, um, then you should make sure that you see the writing on the wall here, right? I don't know that the hotel industry saw something like Airbnb coming, and and so it's important to see that this is a trend, and to see to start thinking proactively about how can I take advantage of this as a business? How can I take advantage of and also sort of ease myself into this new model where people are wanting to trust and make connection with other people to get the products and services that they would normally get from bigger companies, and don't be left out of that. And the last takeaway is, this whole sort of startup feel, the friendly, what I'm calling the friendly feel, is really very attractive these days. I mean, if you just go to Airbnb's website and go to Uber's website and just look at the sites. I mean, don't even worry about what the service is doing itself. Just look at the sites. They are informal. They are friendly. They are designed in such a way to make you feel like this makes me feel good, right? It's almost like and somehow they've designed a website that feels like a comfortable friend, right? They're not confusing websites. They're not jammed full of offers and stuff that doesn't need to be there. They just have this really simple, clear design to them, and that is super attractive and super popular right now. There's a service that I've used online a couple times now called Grubhub, where you can basically put in the city that tell it the address that you're at, and you can order food from any number of restaurants that happen to have signed up with Grubhub that are in the local area. So I've done this. I did it once when I was out of town, and I did it another time when I was ordering dinner for a friend in Virginia who's been through a surgery recently. So ordering dinner for her family, and of course, I don't know anything about Arlington, Virginia, and what's there, but I went to Grubhub and did it. I mention all this because Grubhub is sort of epitomizes this sort of startup friendly feel, right? Their language on their website is so informal and but so fun at the same time, that it's really impressive. So remember that you don't necessarily have to be kind of stodgy and formal. You really can have fun with your customers, let them be at ease when they come to your website, and that's going to attract them more than lots of things sort of trying to vie for their attention at the same time. So that's today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining me. Normally we do the second Friday in the month, but next month we will be doing the first Friday because of my schedule. So next month, Friday, October 3rd, so that's I think 3 weeks from now, we'll be talking about great campaigns. You know that every few months I like to do a webinar on great campaigns just to see what people are doing out there and hopefully help spark some ideas. And in this case, hopefully help spark some ideas in time for the holidays. So we'll be doing that on October 3rd. Dave Newstraden's next Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar will be Wednesday the 24th at 11 o'clock Pacific. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Remember to keep your media social and your talk straight.